Satisfied are you with the progress of the implementation of the memorandum of understanding, and do you think the Cyprus is able to implement its commitments to the IMF and to the Trojka?
As you know, our executive board of the IMF has just approved the completion of the first review of Cyprus's macroeconomic adjustment program last Monday. That approval has been predicated on Cyprus's having implemented its commitments relative to the Memorandum of Understanding. In particular, Cyprus has met its fiscal targets as well as the structural benchmarks under the program, and we expect it to do so in the future.
So you are satisfied with the progress, as I understand, correct?
So far, the program has been very good toward the program objectives.
There are some people in Cyprus that they claim that the only concern of the IMF is implementation of austerity. You know that everybody is talking about this, not only in Cyprus, everywhere. How do you respond to these claims? And also the people in Cyprus, they don't see any measure toward development. Are you planning something for this?
The adjustment program for Cyprus has two objectives. One is to restore financial sector stability, and there are a number of measures in the banking sector strategy to do so, and we can talk more about those later. The other objective is to restore the sustainability of public finances and put public debt on a sustained downward path. These together are going to help the economy recover and growth to resume over the long term.
They already started saying that there is a possibility for a second memorandum, and of course when they say second memorandum they mean measures. What is your answer on this? On consolidation measures, what I can say is that the program already includes a number of consolidation measures that have been implemented. They have been significant. Those have been implemented late last year and earlier this year. These are underway, and we are not foreseeing any new measures in the forthcoming future in the next year or so. Some additional measures will be necessary as part of this current program, not any new program, in the outer years once the economy recovers, and that is because, as I said, Cyprus's debt is very large and it needs to come down. Bank of Cyprus, the biggest problem I think for now for Cyprus. Do you think that the bank is going to make it, and also do you follow what is happening in the biggest bank with all of these developments about the Bank of Cyprus, if you follow them? And if yes, if the answer is yes, what is your assessment for the Bank of Cyprus?
Clearly significant progress has been made with the recapitalization of Bank of Cyprus since the program approval. As you know, Bank of Cyprus was fully recapitalized earlier in July, which helped it to exit resolution at end July. Now, of course, going forward, challenges still remain. I understand that a board of directors has been elected, and this board of directors, together with the new management, will need to develop a restructuring plan for the bank in order to put it on a path toward profitability and to help it regain confidence that it needs.
Another big issue and a big problem is the cooperative bank. You know very well what is happening there. Do the IMF believe that the cooperative bank should continue the form that we know and we knew, or it is better to transform to small commercial banks, as some people are asking?
The strategy for the cooperative banking sector that is currently included in the program is to recapitalize it using public funds as needed, as well as deeply restructure it from close to 100 institutions now to less than 20. And as well as strengthen supervision of the cooperative banking sector. That has actually already happened largely through the law that was passed not too long ago.
as well as another law was recently passed to manage the state's stake in the cooperative sector. So in other words, what's going to happen with this sector is that the state will inject money there, it will become the main shareholder, but we see the cooperative sector eventually exiting over time from state control and moving forward.
So you see that the cooperative bank is going to be safe?
The cooperative central bank, you mean?
I mean the cooperative bank that we're talking about. It's,
the entire cooperative sector, yes, will be helped by the state with the use of program money.
According to your report, growth in Cyprus is expected to turn positive in 2015 as private consumption gradually recovers, as you said, although fiscal adjustment will continue to put a damper on domestic demand. Do you believe that the fiscal multipliers you have used in Cyprus program are properly adjusted and they take account of the current credit conditions? Because we have the example of Greece. That's why I'm asking you.
No, as I've said at the beginning, the adjustment, the fiscal consolidation that is included in the program very much takes into account these factors. And that is why we have a certain amount of measures that were introduced up front. Then there is a period in which the economy is allowed to recover, and we have postponed the rest of the adjustment for the outer years once the economy recovers. And to respond to your question specifically on fiscal multipliers, we have taken very conservative assumptions on those multipliers when we have done our macroeconomic projections.
Very good. Another big issue is that there are some big companies like the telephone company, the electric company, and some other companies. Do you think that these companies must be sold to the private sector?
Privatization is an important part of the program, and the reason why that is needed is because, again, the debt of Cyprus is very high, and there are various ways in which to reduce it, one of which being getting additional revenues from privatizations of state-owned enterprises. The strategy for privatization is still under discussion with the authorities, and this is something that we will discuss in the upcoming reviews in terms of which specific assets will be privatized and how.
But your recommendation is going to be for the privatization?
We of course have recommended privatization of state-owned enterprises. Yes.
What is the next step for Cyprus, and what are the conditions for the next tranche, for the next amount of money that you are going to give them? I mean, what are you asking them to do to give them the money?
We will have another visit in a few months' time to review progress toward the agenda that the authorities have set up to do, both in the financial sector, also in the fiscal structural area. There are a number of reforms that are underway. We will go to Cyprus, discuss with the authorities, and see where progress has been, and make an assessment just like we did this time. If the assessment is positive, we will recommend again continuation of the program and of the next tranche. At that point, we will also be reviewing macroeconomic developments as well as seeing whether any adjustments to the program may be warranted.
Delia, as you know, because of the haircut, many people lost their money. Many people, 5 months after the memorandum, they cannot take money from their banks. What the IMF is doing to overcome these problems for the people?
The program itself, as I said at the beginning, is designed to resolve the problems, the root causes of this crisis. Once these are addressed, the banking sector is put on a sustainable footing. The health of the banks is recovered, confidence returns, as well as fiscal public finances are put on a sustainable basis. Then growth is expected to resume as well. In terms of the most vulnerable groups that are affected now in the downturn, there are specific reforms, including the reform of the welfare system, which are designed specifically to address those problems. But the bottom line is that the program's objective is to support long-run sustainable growth.
Sure. And another thing is that they complain in Cyprus because the IMF does not count the revenue of the natural gas. Why not?
We clearly see that natural gas could be an upside to our projections. So far as we understand, testing is still ongoing to determine the precise amount of natural resources in the ground. Once those results become available, we will be assessing them. At this point, we simply don't have enough information to put those in our projections.
Yeah. And another thing that I wanted to ask, I asked you before, is that the change of the model, of the economic model of Cyprus, it was a big change all of a sudden. Why you decided, not you, I mean the IMF and the Trojka, why you decided to do that? What was the biggest problem with the banking sector of Cyprus?
The biggest problem in the Cypriot economy was that the banking sector was heavily undercapitalized, and some of the banks were not solvent, and they needed to be helped. The other problem was that the public finances were not sustainable, and debt was already very high, so it was very difficult for Cyprus or for the government to help the banks directly, as it happens in other countries. Therefore, a different solution was needed in the case of Cyprus. Again, the solution was addressed at the root problem in the banking sector to be able to recapitalize the banks, to be able to restore their health and make them sustainable.
And the last question is that the people in Cyprus, they say they don't have hope for the future. What is your answer to them?
Clearly, the program that we have agreed and that the authorities are working on is aiming to restore this hope and to restore growth over the long run. What I want to say here is obviously this is not a sprint, but it's a marathon. It will take time for the policies to take effect, but the policies have been carefully thought through to address the problems and to be able to move forward with a clean slate for the Cypriot economy.
Delia, thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome. Thank you.